The arrival. The message came on a Tuesday. For 3 days, giant screens in every major city showed the same image, a spacecraft approaching Earth. News channels played the footage on repeat, social media exploded with theories. Some people packed their belongings and fled to remote areas. Others gathered in churches and temples to pray. Most simply waited. Jack Harper sat in his small office at the United Nations Space Agency, staring at his computer screen. At 42, with graying hair at his temples and permanent worry lines across his forehead, Jack was not the kind of person who usually got involved in historic events. He processed paperwork for satellite launches and wrote reports about space debris. Yet here he was, reading an email that would change everything. Mr. Harper, your presence is requested at the Security Council meeting. 1,400 hours. Top priority. Jack took a deep breath and straightened his tie. He had no idea why they wanted him there. He was a mid-level diplomat with specialty knowledge in international space law. Nothing special. The Security Council chamber was packed when Jack arrived. He found a seat in the back and watched as Secretary General Greg Stevens stepped up to the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, at 0600 hours this morning, we received confirmation that the approaching vessel is indeed of extraterrestrial origin. The visitors have established communication and requested a meeting with Earth representatives. The room buzzed with voices. Greg raised his hand for silence. The aliens call themselves the Leonine. They have agreed to send a delegation to our headquarters tomorrow. We are assembling a welcome team of diplomats, scientists, and security personnel. A woman in a blue suit stood up. What do we know about their intentions? Very little, Greg said. Their messages have been polite but brief. They express interest in Earth and its dominant species. He paused, looking around the room. Mr. Harper. Jack nearly jumped in his seat. Yes, sir. You will serve as liaison officer to the Leonine delegation. Your background in international mediation makes you suitable for this role. Jack opened his mouth to protest but closed it again. How do you say no to first contact with aliens? The next morning, Jack stood on the vast lawn outside the UN building with 24 other officials. A large area had been cleared for the landing. Armed soldiers formed a perimeter, trying to look both welcoming and ready for anything. Nervous? Asked a voice beside him. Jack turned to see a woman with short blonde hair and bright eyes behind round glasses. She wore a tag that read, Dr. Lisa Carter, Zoology Department. Terrified, Jack admitted. I'm Jack Harper. I know, Lisa said. They briefed us on the welcome team. You're the lucky one who gets to talk to them directly. Lucky isn't the word I'd use, Jack muttered. A low rumble filled the air. Everyone looked up as a silvery object descended from the clouds. It wasn't as large as Jack had expected, perhaps the size of a small passenger plane. It hovered silently before settling on the grass with barely a sound. For nearly a minute, nothing happened. Then a seam appeared in the side of the craft. A ramp extended to the ground. The first Leonine to emerge was tall, nearly 7 feet, with a muscular build covered in short golden fur. Its face resembled a lion, with a short muzzle and amber eyes. It wore what appeared to be a uniform of dark material with symbols Jack couldn't recognize. Behind this figure came 6 more Leonine, each slightly different in coloring and size, but all impressive and somewhat intimidating. Forward, Greg whispered to Jack. On shaky legs, Jack walked toward the aliens. The lead Leonine approached as well. When they were about 6 feet apart, the alien stopped and made a gesture with its hand, palm outward. I am Grand Marshal Rurix of the Galactic Pride, it said in perfect English, its voice deep and rumbling. We come to meet the inhabitants of this world. Jack cleared his throat. Welcome to Earth, Grand Marshal. I am Jack Harper, representative of the United Nations, a global organization of human nations. Rurix studied Jack with those amber eyes. You are the dominant species? We are the most technologically advanced species on Earth, yes. The Leonine made a sound that might have been a laugh. Interesting. On our world, those who look like us rule. We expected to find your lions in charge. Misconceptions. Jack blinked in confusion. Lions? They're powerful animals, but they're not sentient like humans. Yet they are clearly the superior physical specimens, Rurik said. Strong, proud, natural hunters. We have observed them in your wild spaces. They seem much like our ancestors. Greg stepped forward. Perhaps we could continue this fascinating discussion inside. We've prepared a welcome ceremony. The Leonine delegation followed the humans into the building. Jack noticed how they moved with fluid grace despite their size. They seemed to be constantly scanning their surroundings, like soldiers in hostile territory. During the formal reception, Jack stood near Rurik's, answering questions about Earth. The aliens seemed particularly interested in predators and the food chain. So these lions, they do not rule any territories? Rurik's asked. They have territories in the wild, Jack explained, but humans have developed technology and civilization that allows us to, well, to dominate the planet. Rurik's made a dismissive gesture. A curious arrangement. On our world, the strongest rule. It is the natural order. Later, when the Leonine were shown to their quarters, Lisa approached Jack in the hallway. They're fixated on lions, she said. Did you notice they keep bringing them up? Jack nodded. They seem to think lions should be in charge because they're physically stronger. It must be their evolutionary perspective, Lisa mused. They evolved from apex predators and built their society on physical dominance. Is that why they asked for a zoologist on the welcome team? Lisa smiled grimly. They requested information on Earth's wildlife, particularly predators. I'm supposed to brief them tomorrow. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the Leonine and their strange focus on lions. Something didn't feel right about their interest. His phone rang at 3 a.m. It was Greg. Jack, I need you at headquarters now. Our satellites have detected more Leonine ships entering the solar system. Much larger ones. How many? Jack asked, already reaching for his clothes. Greg's voice was grim. A fleet. Jack rushed to the United Nations building and found it buzzing with activity despite the early hour. Security teams moved through hallways. Officials gathered in small groups, speaking in urgent whispers. Greg met Jack at the entrance to the crisis room. His tie was loose and his eyes were tired. The Leonine ships will reach Earth orbit in 12 hours, Greg said. We need to know their intentions before then. Have you asked Rurik's? That's your job. He's waiting in the diplomatic suite. Jack found the Leonine leader standing by a large window, looking out at the New York skyline. Rurik's turned as Jack entered the room. In the dim light, the alien's eyes seemed to glow. Your city never sleeps, Rurik said. Like prey animals, always watching for danger. We noticed more ships approaching Earth, Jack said, deciding to be direct. A lot more. Rurik's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. Yes. The first wave of the Galactic Pride arrives. They are eager to see this world with their own eyes. How many ships are coming? Enough to accomplish our purpose, Rurik said. Do not worry, Jack Harper. If we wanted to destroy your cities, we would have done so already. The words did not make Jack feel better. Then what is your purpose here? Rurik's walked closer. Jack fought the urge to step back. We have been observing Earth for some time, the alien said. Your planet interests us. So much water, so many different creatures. And you humans, building your nests everywhere like busy insects. Our cities, Jack corrected. Yes, your artificial habitats. Very impressive for a species that lacks natural advantages. Rurik's paused. Tell me, Jack Harper, how did your kind come to rule this world when the lions are clearly superior? The question seemed important to Rurix, so Jack considered his answer carefully. Humans evolved intelligence and tool-making abilities. We learned to work together. We developed technology. Fascinating. On our world, the strongest ruled from the beginning. There was never any question. Is that why you're here? To learn about human evolution? Rurix made a rumbling sound in his chest. We are here to restore proper balance. Jack felt a chill. What does that mean? All will be explained at the proper time, Rurix said. For now, we wish to continue learning about your world. The female scientist will show us your predators today. The plan revealed. After leaving Rurix, Jack went straight to Lisa's temporary office. She was preparing her presentation, surrounded by tablets showing images of various animals. The Leonine asked specifically about apex predators, she told Jack. Lions, tigers, bears, sharks, crocodiles. They're obsessed with what eats what. I think they're planning something, Jack said quietly. Something about restoring proper balance to Earth. Lisa frowned. That doesn't sound good. No. And there's a whole fleet of their ships about to arrive. Jack looked at her displays. What are you going to show them? What they asked for. Big predators from different ecosystems. Later that morning, the UN hosted a formal reception for the Leonine. More officials arrived, including the Secretary of State and representatives from major nations. Everyone wanted to meet the aliens. Jack stayed close to Rurix, listening as the Leonine leader spoke with Earth's most powerful people. Every conversation eventually turned to the same topic, how humans had come to dominate a planet despite not being the strongest species. After the reception, Lisa gave her presentation on Earth's predators. She showed images of lions hunting in the African savanna, tigers stalking through forests, polar bears on ice floes, killer whales in the ocean. The Leonine watched with obvious interest. They asked questions about hunting techniques, territories, and population numbers. When Lisa showed a video of a lion pride taking down a buffalo, several Leonine nodded in approval. These lions, Rurix said, they work together to hunt larger prey. Yet you humans have confined them to small areas. We protect wildlife reserves, Lisa explained. Many predator species were endangered by human expansion. You limited their territory, Rurix said. His tone made it sound like an accusation. That evening, Jack was summoned to another emergency meeting. The Leonine fleet had arrived in Earth orbit, 47 ships of various sizes, from small scouts to massive vessels that dwarfed anything humans had ever built. They're not responding to our communications, Greg reported. Only Rurix will talk, and he says we must wait for the proper announcement. Jack rubbed his temples. I think I know what they're planning. They believe the natural order is for the strongest to rule. On their world, that means creatures like them, predators. They think lions should rule Earth instead of humans. That's insane, said the Secretary of State. Lions are animals. They can't run a civilization. The Leonine don't see it that way, Jack replied. To them, intelligence without physical strength is an aberration. They've come to fix what they see as an unnatural situation. The next morning brought the answer. Rurix requested a meeting with world leaders in the General Assembly Hall. Representatives from every nation were present, along with media from around the globe. Rurix entered with his delegation, moving with the same predatory grace Jack had noticed before. The alien leader approached the podium with confidence. People of Earth, Rurix began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber, we come as friends and liberators. For too long, your world has suffered under the rule of the weak. Creatures without fangs, without claws, without the natural strength to lead. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Jack felt his stomach drop. On our world, the galactic pride maintains order because we are the strongest, the most capable hunters. We have observed your Earth and seen a terrible mistake, the weak ruling the strong, the prey commanding the predators. Rurix gestured broadly. Your lions, your tigers, your great bears, these magnificent creatures languish in captivity or hide in small reserves while you humans multiply like insects across their rightful territories. The Secretary General stood up. Grand Marshal, with respect, human civilization has. Silence, Rurix growled, and something in his voice made everyone freeze. You will listen. We offer Earth a gift, proper order. The galactic pride will help your natural predators reclaim their rightful place as rulers of this world. You can't be serious, someone called out. We are very serious, Rurix replied. Our ships carry genetic enhancement technology. We will improve your predators, make them intelligent enough to rule, strong enough to maintain order. Lions with the mental capacity to lead nations. Tigers with the wisdom to guide civilizations. The assembly erupted in shouting. Jack watched in horror as the aliens' plan became clear. They weren't here to destroy humanity directly, they wanted to create super-intelligent predators to replace human civilization. You propose to make our wildlife sentient? Greg asked when the noise died down. We propose to restore natural balance, Rurix said. The strong should rule the weak. It is the way of all civilized worlds in the galaxy. And what happens to humans in this natural balance? Jack asked, standing up. Rurix's amber eyes fixed on him. Humans will find their proper place in the food chain, of course. As prey. The resistance forms. The General Assembly dissolved into chaos. Representatives shouted in dozens of languages, security guards moved nervously, and camera crews struggled to capture every angle of humanity's first diplomatic crisis with an alien species. Rurix remained calm at the podium, watching the panic with what Jack could only describe as amusement. You have 24 hours to consider our offer, the Leonine leader announced over the noise. We will begin with the great cats of Africa. Your lions have waited long enough to claim their throne. With that, Rurix and his delegation left the assembly hall, leaving behind a room full of terrified and angry humans. Jack found himself in an emergency meeting with world leaders, military officials, and scientists. The mood was grim. They have 47 ships in orbit, reported General Martinez, the UN military advisor. Our best estimates suggest they could level every major city on Earth within hours if they wanted to. But they don't want to destroy us, Jack said. They want to transform Earth's ecosystem. Make predators the dominant species and reduce humans to prey animals. Over my dead body, growled the Russian representative. That might be exactly what they have in mind, Lisa said quietly. She had been studying data on the Leonine ships. I've been analyzing their technology. Those vessels aren't just warships, they're mobile laboratories. They really do have the capability to genetically enhance Earth's predators. Enhanced how? Asked the Secretary General. Intelligence, primarily. Maybe physical improvements too. Imagine a lion with human-level intelligence but retaining all its natural hunting instincts and physical advantages. The thought sent chills through the room. What about our military? Asked the Chinese representative. Can we fight them? General Martinez shook his head. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. A direct confrontation would be suicide. Then what do we do? Greg asked. We can't let them turn Earth into some twisted predator paradise. Jack had been thinking about this since Rurix's announcement. We need to find a flaw in their logic. They're obsessed with physical strength and natural hunting ability. But they're missing something important about Earth's ecosystem. What do you mean? Lisa asked. They think lions are the ultimate predators because they're big and strong and hunt in prides. But lions aren't actually the most dangerous creatures on Earth. Lisa's eyes widened as she caught on. You're thinking about venomous species. Exactly. What kills more humans than any other animal? Not lions or tigers or bears. Mosquitoes, Greg said slowly. Disease vectors. And snakes, Jack added. Particularly venomous ones. A tiny snake can kill a creature 100 times its size. That's the ultimate predator, not the biggest or strongest, but the one with the deadliest weapon. The room was quiet as everyone processed this. So you're suggesting what exactly? Asked the Secretary General. We challenged their assumptions, Jack said. Tomorrow, when they come back for our answer, we present them with Earth's real apex predator. Something that proves their understanding of natural dominance is flawed. That's a hell of a gamble, General Martinez said. It's better than accepting their plan or starting a war we can't win, Jack replied. Lisa was already pulling up information on her tablet. If we're going to do this, we need the right species. Something that perfectly illustrates your point about venom being superior to size and strength. What did you have in mind? Greg asked. Lisa looked up with a determined expression. The black mamba. It's fast, aggressive, and its venom can kill an adult human in 20 minutes. A lion might be the king of the savannah, but even lions avoid black mambas. You want to bring a deadly snake to a diplomatic meeting? The Russian representative asked incredulously. Not just any snake, Jack said, beginning to see the plan. The perfect counterargument to their philosophy. If they truly believe the strongest should rule, they'll have to acknowledge that venom is more powerful than muscle. And if they don't? Asked the Chinese representative. Jack met his eyes. Then at least we'll go down fighting for the principle that intelligence and cooperation matter more than natural weapons. The meeting continued through the night. Plans were made, contingencies discussed, and a very unusual diplomatic strategy was prepared. By dawn, everything was ready for humanity's last chance to avoid becoming prey on their own planet. As Jack sat in his office, watching the sun rise over New York, he thought about the irony of the situation. Humanity had reached for the stars, built incredible technologies, and created civilizations that spanned the globe. But their fate might ultimately be decided by a snake. The showdown. The next day, the General Assembly Hall was packed once again. This time, however, there was an unusual addition to the stage, a secure glass enclosure containing a 6-foot black mamba, one of Africa's most feared serpents. Rurix entered with his delegation, his amber eyes immediately fixing on the snake. For the first time since his arrival, the Leonine leader looked genuinely puzzled. What is the meaning of this display? Rurix asked as he approached the podium. Jack stood up, his heart pounding but his voice steady. Grand Marshal, you've spoken extensively about natural order and the rule of the strongest. We'd like to present you with Earth's true apex predator. Rurix looked from Jack to the snake and back again. This small creature. It is barely larger than my arm. Size isn't everything, Lisa said, standing beside Jack. This black mamba can kill a full-grown lion with a single bite. Its venom is so potent that even your enhanced lions would be helpless against it. The other Leonine began to murmur among themselves in their own language. Rurix silenced them with a gesture. Venom, he said slowly, as if testing the word. A coward's weapon. Is it? Jack challenged. Or is it the ultimate evolutionary advantage? This snake doesn't need size or strength or pack hunting. It doesn't need genetic enhancement. It's already perfect, a solitary hunter that can defeat any creature on Earth. Including humans, Greg added. More people die from snake bites than from attacks by all the large predators combined. Rurix approached the enclosure, studying the black mamba intently. The snake, sensing the alien's presence, raised its head and opened its mouth, revealing the black interior that gave it its name. You claim this creature is superior to lions? Rurix asked. We're saying your philosophy is flawed, Jack replied. You believe the biggest and strongest should rule, but nature doesn't work that way. Intelligence, adaptation, and specialized weapons often defeat brute force. Humans are proof of that, Lisa added. We're not the strongest species on Earth, but we're the most successful because we use our intelligence to overcome physical limitations. The assembly hall was silent except for the quiet hum of the Mamba's enclosure ventilation system. Jack could see the Leonine delegation engaging in heated discussion, their voices too low for the universal translators to pick up. Finally, Rurix turned back to face the humans. You suggest that this small serpent could defeat enhanced lions? I'm suggesting that your entire approach is wrong, Jack said. You want to enhance lions to be intelligent enough to rule, but intelligence without wisdom leads to tyranny. You want to restore natural order, but nature's order is far more complex than biggest predator wins. Rurix was quiet for a long moment, staring at the black mamba. The snake, agitated by all the attention, began to move restlessly in its enclosure. On our world, Rurix said finally, we have creatures similar to this serpent. They are respected. But they do not rule. Why not? Jack pressed. By your logic, shouldn't the most lethal creatures be in charge? Because. Rurix paused, struggling with the concept. Because they are solitary. They do not build civilizations. They do not create. Exactly, Lisa said. And neither would your enhanced lions. Intelligence without cooperation, strength without wisdom, power without responsibility, that's not civilization, it's chaos. Jack stepped forward. Grand Marshal, you've traveled between stars, built a galactic civilization, and mastered genetic enhancement. But you've made a fundamental error about Earth. Our strength isn't in our individual power, it's in our ability to work together, to overcome natural limitations through cooperation and intelligence. The weak ruling the strong, Rurix said, but his tone was less certain now. The intelligent cooperating with each other, Jack corrected. Lions are magnificent predators, but they can't build spaceships or cure diseases or create art. Even enhanced lions would just be very dangerous animals, not civilization builders. Rurix looked around the assembly hall, taking in the representatives from nearly 200 nations, all different in appearance, culture, and beliefs, but united in this moment against a common threat. Your species, Rurix said slowly, defeated creatures far stronger than yourselves to claim this world. We didn't defeat them, Greg said. We coexisted with them. We protected them when we became powerful enough to help rather than fear them. Weakness, one of the other Leonine growled. Is it? Jack asked. Or is it the ultimate expression of strength, being powerful enough to show mercy? The black mamba in its enclosure suddenly struck at the glass nearest to Rurix. The Leonine leader jerked back instinctively, his predator reflexes taking over. The snake's fangs left no mark on the reinforced glass, but the message was clear. Rurix stared at the serpent for another long moment, then straightened to his full height. The Galactic Pride, he announced, has made an error in judgment. The assembly hall erupted in surprised murmurs. Jack felt his knees go weak with relief. Earth's ecosystem is more complex than we understood, Rurix continued. Your species has achieved dominance through cooperation and intelligence rather than individual strength. This is unusual, but not unnatural. Does this mean, Greg began. It means we withdraw our offer of enhancement, Rurix said firmly. Your predators will remain as they are, and your species will continue to rule through whatever means brought you to power. Jack found his voice. And if we prove that intelligence and cooperation can work alongside strength? That different species can coexist and even help each other. Rurix's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. Then perhaps the Galactic Pride has something to learn from humanity after all. 3 months later, Jack stood in the same UN building, but this time he was wearing a new title, Director of Interspecies Relations. The Leonine had established a small embassy on Earth, and surprisingly, both species were learning from each other. The Leonine were discovering that strength could be expressed through protection rather than domination, while humans were learning about sustainable ecosystems and the importance of apex predators in maintaining natural balance. Lisa had been appointed as the chief scientific liaison, splitting her time between studying Leonine biotechnology and helping establish better wildlife conservation programs. Any regrets about becoming the most famous diplomat in human history? She asked Jack as they watched a group of young Leonine interact with human children in the embassy's cultural exchange program. Jack smiled, thinking back to that terrifying week when humanity's survival had hung in the balance. Sometimes the smallest creatures teach the biggest lessons. In the distance, he could see one of the Leonine ships orbiting peacefully above Earth, no longer a threat but a symbol of what different species could accomplish when they chose cooperation over conquest. The black mamba that had changed the course of interspecies relations had been returned safely to its habitat in Africa, probably never knowing that it had saved human civilization with a single, perfectly timed strike against a sheet of glass. As Jack had learned, in diplomacy as in nature, sometimes the most important victories come not from being the strongest, but from understanding exactly when and how to make your point. The end.